Okay, so today my goal is we're going to be studying 2.1 to 2.2. We're going to play a game to review for our test tomorrow. There's a couple things I want you to remember. Sing this with me, guys. Go ahead. Same sign, add and keep, different sign, subtract. Take the sign of the larger number, then you'll be exact. Remember, this is the rules only when we are adding and subtracting. There's a whole different set of rules when we multiply and divide. This is what it is. If you have an even amount of negative signs when you're multiplying or dividing, your answer will always be what, guys? Positive, okay? So you can look at my example. It says -3 times -2. What would my answer be, class? Positive 6, okay? Next one, if you have an odd amount of negative signs, your answer will always be negative. So what would 3 times -2 be, class? It would be -6. Okay, you want to remember those rules for your test tomorrow and for our game today. So for this problem, we asked to find the product or the quotient. Everyone did get it correct, and the answer was -5. Remember, you know that because there was only one negative number there, so the answer had to be negative. Okay, for this one, you are trying to find the quotient. Should my answer come out as a positive or a negative, class? Positive. It's going to be a positive because there are two negative signs there, so the answer has to be positive. 27 divided by 3 would be 9. For question number 3, notice there's a little dot there. What does that dot mean, class? Multiply. A few of you tried to get it up really quick and you divided. So what should my answer be? -16. As I glanced at some of your answers, I think some forgot, what do those parentheses mean? Multiply. To multiply. So remember our multiplication rule. You count the number of negative signs. How many negative signs were there? One. That's an odd number of negative signs, so my answer has to be what? It has to be negative. And what's 5 times 5? Okay, now listen. Let me show you what I just saw some people doing. They almost forgot that there were parentheses there, and they treated it as if there were no parentheses and said 5, and its opposite, -5, is 0. Okay, I saw a lot of that on our quiz, so be careful with that. That is not it. You've got to remember that these parentheses here mean to multiply. For this one, it asks us to find the sum or difference. So for this, we're going to be going back to our same sign, add and keep, different signs, subtract and take. One thing I want you to notice here, I do have double signs. Who always wins when a plus and a minus are right next door to each other? The negative always wins. So I can get rid of that right there, and I'm just going to drop down -5/9 minus 2/3. What do I have to do next? I've got to have a common denominator. What is my common denominator? 9. So I have to multiply this by 3 on top and on bottom. Now, I'm going to drop everything else down. -5/9 minus, what does this become? 6/9. How many of you would say you got this far? If you didn't, I want you to erase your whiteboard and fix it for me. Now, same sign or different sign? Same sign, add and keep. You want to add the numbers and keep the sign. So guys, what is -5/9 minus 6/9? -11/9. I did have someone who got this and then they boxed the answer in. Is that my final answer? No. What's wrong with that answer? It's improper. From now until the end of your math life, you are not allowed to have improper answers. So you've got to fix that and make it a mixed number instead. If you don't know how to do it in your head, it simply means to take 11 divided by 9. Remember, you're looking for a mixed number. So what's the answer? 1 and 2/9. Then I had quite a few people who boxed this in and told me that was the answer. What's wrong with that? Look, if this was a negative, you have to bring that negative down. So the correct answer was -1 and 2/9.
I got that. I just did it.
This was also a very commonly missed problem on our quiz before. What does -4 squared mean? So you are multiplying -4 times itself, which means you have to multiply it times -4 again. Listen, a lot of you did not show me this work right now as you were working on your board. This is a step I want to see because it helps you to visualize. How many negative signs are there, class? There's 2 of them. So should my answer be positive or negative? It should be positive, and 4 times 4 is 16. All right, so when we're evaluating something like this, it's one of those plug it in, plug it in. If it helps you, you could come up here, circle so that you can easily see, okay, that's what I need to be plugging in. What do I plug in for H? 8. Divided by, what's K? -4. Plus, what's M? Okay, so here's where I'm not seeing a lot of people. If I had a plus up here, you've got to make sure you're bringing the plus down. Okay, a lot of people are just forgetting about the signs that were in the original problem. Here, I do have a case of 2 signs side by side. Out of a plus and a minus, who always wins? The negative always wins, okay? Because when you're adding a negative number, that means you have to subtract it, okay? Now, what do you think I should do first? Subtract something or do the division first? Let's do the division first. What is 8 divided by -4? -2, because there was only one negative number there. Now, what should I do with this other -2? Let's bring it down, okay? You've got to always bring everything down. Now, class, same sign or different sign? Are these my rules now for adding and subtracting or for multiplying and dividing? This is adding and subtracting. Same sign, add and keep. Add the numbers, keep the sign. A lot of you just forgot to keep the sign. So what should the answer be? -4. This one is kind of the same idea as problem number 7. Plug it in, okay? So it tells me here I have to square K. What is K? -4. Now listen, here's where a lot of you just made a mistake. You did -4 squared. But if you remember, it's asking us to square the K, which means I don't just have to square the 4, I have to square the whole K. All right? Now, drop down the minus sign. What is H? 8 divided by M. What is M? -2. Now, I don't always love to have signs side by side, so sometimes what I will do is I will just add some parentheses there so that I understand I am dividing by a negative number. That does not mean that I'm multiplying. It's just saying, this is a negative number, okay? So, let's do this part first. What does -4 squared mean? -4 times -4. Remember, when you see something like that, I want to see your work like this. I want to be able to understand that you understand you are squaring a -4, not just a 4. If your board doesn't look like this so far, I want you to fix it. Slip it in there so that you can see that. Then remember, we are still dropping everything else down that's here, including the signs. -8 divided by -2. Let's focus on this first thing here, which is the K squared. Guys, what is -4 times -4? 16. Drop that down. Now, everything else still needs to be dropped down. -8 or -8 divided by -2. My next question is, there are 2 operations left, a minus and a divide. What should I do first? We're going to divide first. So how do you show me that that's what you're doing, what step you're doing?
Underline.
You're going to go ahead and underline it. Let's underline that right there, guys. What is 8 divided by -2? -4. What do I need to do with this part right here? Drop it down. Bring down your 16 and your minus. What's happening there now? Okay, that's a double negative, so we have to turn that into a positive. What is 16 plus 4? 20. On this one, there was a tree that originally weighed 400 pounds. After 5 months of weather storm, it lost most of its trunk and branches. Its final weight was only 50 pounds. How many pounds did the tree lose per month? There was this little formula I taught you. Do you guys remember it? Final minus initial divided by the time. Okay, repeat after me. Final minus initial divided by the time. Final minus initial divided by the time. Say it one more time because you need to know this for your test. Final minus initial divided by the time. Some people had that switched up, initial minus the final, okay? And then your answer is close, but it's a little off. Guys, how much did this weigh in the end, finally? 50 pounds. Minus initially at the beginning, how much did it weigh? 400. Divided by the time, how much was the time? 5 months. 50 minus 400, what's that answer?
350.
Not 350.
Negative.
Take the sign of the larger number. So negative 350 pounds for 5 months. But as you can see, it says how many pounds did it lose per month? I only want to know 1 month, not 5 months. So how do I turn that 5 months into 1 month? I'm going to divide by 5 on both the top and the bottom. If you don't know how to do this in your head, that's pretty big. Just off to the side, 350 divided by 5. Guys, what do you get when you do that? 70 pounds per month. However, I heard some people say, listen, if I've got one negative number there, my answer has to be negative. So the answer should be negative 70 pounds per month. Now, does that make sense as to why it would be a negative?
Because that's how many pounds you're losing.
Because it's losing the weight. It's not gaining 70 pounds. It is losing the weight. On many of your quizzes, that's the only thing that you missed. But remember, if you missed just that little bit, even on your quiz corrections, you got to go back through, show me your work, and help me understand why your answer should be different. Okay, for this problem, you play a game on the computer, and for every correct move you make, you get 5 points. For every minute that it takes you to finish the game, you lose 10 points. It takes you 4 minutes to complete the game, and you make 6 correct moves. What's your final score? There are 2 things you have to take into consideration here. Your correct moves and your time. I want you guys to try it on your own and see if you can get this answer. So you want to see correct moves. It tells you for every correct move you make, you receive 5 points. Okay, so you're going to be getting 5 points. Then you could see for every minute it takes you, you lose 10 points. What integer goes with losing 10 points? That would be a negative. Now you got to see how many correct moves did you have and how much time did it take you. Guys, did it tell us how many correct moves we made?
6.
Okay, it says right here, you make 6 correct moves. So what should I do with that 6?
Multiply by 5.
Multiply it by 5. What is 5 times 6?
30.
30. Is that positive 30 or negative?
Positive.
It is a positive 30. Now we're just going to circle this because that's an important piece, but it's not my final answer. Let's go on to the next part, the time. What does it tell me about the time? Does it tell us how long it took us?
4 minutes.
Yes, it says right here, it took you 4 minutes to complete the game. So that means I lose 10 points for every minute. So I've got to multiply this by 4. What is negative 10 times 4?
Negative 40.
Negative 40. Once again, that's an important piece that I need. Now I've got to combine those two. What is 30 minus 40? Negative 10 points is what your final score is. All right, so guys, listen, this is going to be a video that helps you. If anything we did today didn't make sense, go back, watch this video tonight to help you review for your test tomorrow. Don't forget quiz corrections tonight.